Hi again, it's me, Vex, Cyberpunk Antifa Lesbian here. Now, before you say anything, I know, I promised you all a Baby No Money remix. That is on the way. I just need to finish working on some things. But while you're waiting, I realised I had an old project that would work really well for this series, which involves my love of industrial music like Frontline Assembly, and a song that I first found out about because of Scrubs, weirdly enough. So yeah, let's jump over to the FL Studio file and I will show you what I've got. Right, so we're here in the FL Studio project. Obviously, with the last video, I could show you what I was doing as I was doing it. Unfortunately, this time, I already had the project completed because it was a thing that I was going to work on and then promptly forgot about until I was making this series. Now, I wanted to make an industrial version of Safety Dance because I was working on a lot more Frontline Assembly style industrial anyway, especially with like making my own music that was like in law with like the whole VTuber thing, right? A lot of that is very influenced by my love of like Frontline Assembly and stuff. And I've liked the song Safety Dance since I first heard about it on Scrubs, where Turk sang it to Carla, and I was like, that's a funny song, I'm going to listen to it. And then heard the original, was like, actually, this is a really decent song. So, what I wanted to do was first boil down like the kind of things that you would get in a Frontline Assembly song. Which, one of the places that helped, I know last time I shouted out Rob Arnold and his YouTube channel. This time I'm going to be shouting out Tone Pusher. Tone Pusher is a channel on YouTube. He does a ton of explanation videos about old like industrial synths, like vocal processing, like how to write EBM like bass lines, stuff like that. He does a whole bunch of serum presets and things like that. He did a video on Al Jurgensen from Ministry's like vocal processing and stuff like that too. I'm actually using in the FPCs here one of the Tone Pusher 90s industrial drum kits samples, sample sets. What I'm doing, I'm going to put a link in the description to, if I can, to the Tone Pusher site, just so you can look at all of his packs and stuff. I've got so many of them. He is so good at this sort of stuff. But I've used like a combination of different sounds. So I'm using like the kick from the Killing Kit, and then the snare that I'm using is the snares from the Killing Kit as well, but then the hi-hats are from the Entropy Kit. So one of the things that you'll see as well that I've got in the project here is the fact that if you've watched me making the Gabba stuff online, you'll notice that I've got 2 instances of FPC going. I do the same with the Gabba stuff, where it means with the Gabba stuff, it's a bit more apparent why I'm doing it, because what I'm doing with each instance of FPC is like I've got one instance that has like a whole ton of different kick drums, and then I can use this to like swap between the kicks, and it's all programmed via MIDI rather than having individual samples. With this, I'm using 2 instances of the same setting, but it's doing the same thing. What it's doing is it's routing in, so I've got the first one that I'm using purely for the kick drum, which is driving, if I set the intro pattern going. So you can see that that's kicks just going there, and it's running into the drum bus, which has its own processing. And then that's the kicks also side chaining to the bass and the low half of the ambient layer as well. So then when the kicks going through, it's ducking down the bass and the ambient layer, so the kick is hitting harder. And then on the top of the kit, the rest of it, I ended up tweaking this, which is why I had to redo this take, because for some reason the previous thing that I did have on here stopped working, but in my experimentation found something better. So this has the cavern preset. One of the things that I'm using a lot, I always use Easy Mix stuff. Easy Mix stuff is really good for this sort of mixing and processing and things. The Dark Ambience pack as well is really good for industrial stuff. There's a lot of stuff based on like the industrial, like you can see like stuff named after like Nine Inch Nails, for example. So I'm using the cavern setting for the kit just to get a little bit of drive and a little bit of reverb on there, which is then running into the drum bus that has its own thing, which is the aggro drum bus, which is one of the Easy Mix 3 settings, running into there. And then for the bass sounds, so like this, like that's another like standard FL Studio kind of FL Studio frontline assembly kind of sound. And these are actually both tone pusher settings from the 90s industrial thing, where I'm layering the two together to make this kind of sound and running them together into this. The only thing I'm doing is on the bass thick is I'm taking off some of the treble end and the high mids, like cutting it down to there. And I did have experimenting like an EQ on the high end. I prefer it with a full mix there, right? So that's a lot of that sort of sound, as well as like using Analog Lab 5 and like a whole ton more serum presets, again from 90s industrial. A lot of it is based on Tone Push's sample packs, right? So that sort of formed the basis of how I was going to make something sound like frontline assembly. One of the things that I decided to do was, leaning into the whole safety dance thing, was make the intros and have samples using not only like just general ambience layer and things, but like industrial machinery backing sounds. And you can actually hear here. So like there's industrial like cranes working and just machinery background. And then you've got the intro sample.
In this program, we will look at several close call incidents which reinforce important safety principles and show how reporting and studying near-miss incidents can help prevent injuries.
So it's like a whole bunch of health and safety videos for in industrial workplaces. I decided to use those. So then it was a case of going through, programming everything, working out like the actual melodies of the original song, and changing up, obviously, because I wanted to make it sound more like frontline assembly. I did change up some of the arrangements slightly. It's still like verse, chorus, blah, 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 but like the way that things come in and out, obviously. And then the last thing I did, which is the most recent thing I did after revisiting, is the vocals.
We can dance if we want to. We can leave you.
So one of the things that I've done here for the vocal processing.
We can dance if we want to. We can leave your friends behind.
What I did, right, is I've got the original vocal stem going into one thing, which then is going into two separate chains. One, which again, Dark Ambience, it's using the Vicinity Vocals preset, which is got a little bit of effects and reverb to act as the top layer, and then behind that I've got a separate layer that is the flooder, which adds a whole bunch of drive to it, so it's got like a distorted layer behind the vocal. So then it still has that grittiness, but you can hear it nicely. But then in the chorus, what I did, because I wanted to differentiate it a bit, what I ended up doing was getting my 2 takes where because I'd sung the chorus twice, because it appears in the song twice. What I ended up doing was cloning that vocal stem and getting the 2 different choruses and sandwiching them together and panning them to each side and running them through a separate effect chain. So it ends up...
We can dance, everything is out of control.
So that's using a combination of the flooder again to add that grit, but then I put propulsion on top just to add a bit of phaser and reverb.
We can dance, everybody.
And because it's panned, it makes it sound thicker, and it does like differentiate because the rest of the vocals are all dead center, right? So then I just sung the whole thing, and what we ended up with was this.
In this program, we will look at several close call incidents which reinforce important safety principles and show how reporting and studying near-miss incidents can help prevent injuries. Of course, in order to learn from close calls, the incidents must be reported and investigated. Employees need to understand the purpose of studying near misses is not to punish employees or assign blame. The purpose is to improve workplace safety and reduce injuries.
And that is what you get when you turn safety dance into frontline assembly. So yeah, hope you all enjoyed this version of a weird song. This one, compared to the last one, I actually now have up live on like Spotify and stuff, so you can go and listen to it wherever you want. I decided that I could get away with that with this one because it's an actual cover compared to the previous one that relied a lot on Jimmy's voice. So that's another reason why the Baby No Money song has taken longer, because I decided, you know what? It would make more sense if I redid all the raps. So next time you'll be able to hear me rapping, which I haven't done in years. But yeah, hopefully you... Yeah, hopefully you enjoyed what you've heard so far. If you want to stick around and hear more stuff in the future, give me a follow. You can do the like, subscribe, blah, 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 blah. Follow me on Twitch at Vex_VT, Vex with a 3. So, yeah, like I said, Baby No Money's coming next. I also have a whole bunch of other ideas involving an Amelie remix. I had a wild idea for an Iron Mouse reinterpretation earlier, which would be fun. So yeah, you'll just have to sit around, wait and see. So, thank you for watching. Don't forget to love each other. And the only good fascist is a fucking dead one. Bye!
Thank you.